Hello everyone, I'm Denise Love, and here's a little preview of what we're doing today. So let's get started. So I thought while I was on a little graphite kick, we could do a graphite color palette challenge. And so I pulled a card out of deck 2 of the Color Cube set by Sarah Renee Clark, and I link this below the video for you because I'm obsessed with the color palette cards. And you can get free color palettes off Pinterest and Instagram, and there's plenty of places to get free color palettes. You don't have to have the cards. These are just easy to hold while I'm filming and look at and go back to, and I like having things to hold in my hand, and I thought let's do a color palette challenge because I already see kind of 2 colors right here. These are custom made colors that I have already just mixed up. They're like Daniel Smith and Sennelier colors that just have the tube of watercolor squirted out, graphite powder mixed in, and then spooned into these little palette watercolor pans. And so I'm going to pull from some custom colors because I have them. I don't know what they are though. You can't ask me what was that color because I don't know. This color could be that darker color. Could be brown. Oh, it says it's red. So I'm kind of thinking like these, well, maybe I'll leave it right there. So I've got 2 colors at least that I can see. There's a real dark color which we could pull out a graphite stick. That one's purple. I think I did one of these that was just, ooh, graphite only. So we'll do that as that darker color. We'll put that right there. And then I've got some blues up here, and I do have some blues in my little collection here. So I'm just going to pull a couple of blues out. Blue, 2 different blues. I also have a blue stick, which could be that lighter color. So I think that's going to be my color palette. Let's see. I mean, really that bright one there is the only one that's questionable. But it could be this color here. I've got graphite red in this set here. So let's do that. We've got the graphite red from the Kuretake Genzai Tambi set to go in there, and that'll be that. So we've got these 3 colors. We've got the 2 blues and the graphite, and I've got a graphite stick. That's going to be our color palette. Let's just see how we do. So I've got a piece of 140-pound cold pressed water paper stuck down. It's not, you can do any kind of watercolor paper that you've got on hand. Don't feel like you got to have, I'm going to start with the stick because I like to draw. Don't feel like you got to have any special paper. This is probably the Canson Heritage, which I can't find any more of that anyway, but it's the pad that's sitting next to my desk. And when I taped these, I wasn't even like super careful because it's all about play and experiment and just seeing how close can I get to the color palette and what can we create. And then white, black, silver, gold, those are my neutral colors. People giggle when I say that, but it really is. They're kind of the neutrals. They're the jewelry that you can add to your piece after it's finished. White and black are just kind of neutral anyway, and nothing specific here for composition at this point. I just like to draw, get started, get rid of the white paper, and then we may cover all that up and we may not. Let me grab a paintbrush. I think the one I always use is over on my table. Here's another one. That's number 6. This is my Princeton quill number 6. Do I have a number 4 up here in my brush stash? Oh, here we go. How about, let's use this number 4 Raphael one. There we go. I like the Raphael brushes. So this is the Raphael Soft Aqua number 4. And I'm just going to get it good and wet. And then I'm going to smush some of the blue around. Ooh, see, that was a good choice for that lighter blue. Look at that. Whoa! Yummo! I like doing the smushing the sticks around. It kind of sticks them down to the paper, so if you don't put pastels on top, you don't really have to put a finishing spray on these when you got them wet down like that. And I might be working on like opacities again, and several of the other projects that we've done. We've worked on light versus dark, and I kind of like focusing on the light and the dark and the barely there and lifting some more watercolor back off. I think that's kind of fun. You don't have to cover every bit of the paper. You can leave white space. Don't feel like you got to cover it all. Because a lot of times I feel like I got to cover all the space, and you don't have to cover all the space. So I'm just going to work my way through the colors now. This blue is slightly different than the other blue, which we can call this blue actually this darker color. So whatever I pulled out right there, probably don't need that. So let's go ahead. We've got the stick and this darker shade just in these two colors. I have no idea what that was because it's the custom color. Pull whatever you have already in your art supplies when you start doing stuff like this. Okay, so we've got charcoal, like not charcoal, but graphite, just solid graphite. So this is just the graphite powder, solid pencil powder basically, mixed in with the gum arabic solution to make just solid graphite watercolor. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, we could use two water-soluble graphite, like if you've got water-soluble sticks or these chunky things like this. A lot of these things are water-soluble, and we could smush the pencil around that way, but it's kind of cool to have just the graphite as a watercolor, isn't it? I think it's cool. So I'm just kind of working these in wherever it just wants to go. I'm just working intuitively here. I'm not thinking too hard. Talking to you guys helps me not think too hard because I'm splitting my attention between trying to make sense and painting at the same time. So you might try talking out loud if you're having trouble loosening up, and just see, can you talk your way through your stuff and really loosen what you're doing. Okay, so let's hop into these kind of pinky shades now. I don't know, I'm kind of liking what we got going on, but we're going with the color palette. Let's just see what we get. Just try it out. You know, I do this on purpose. I love these color palette challenges. I love to challenge myself. What can we get if we're using colors that are way outside our comfort zone? These colors looked like graphite-y kind of colors, so I didn't do a blind pull. I did go ahead and look at them and think, ooh, that I think would do well with graphite paints. But would I put all these colors together normally? Probably not. Not at all, actually. And that's what I like about these, because I have found several color palettes that I'm like, whoa, I would totally revisit that again, and I never would have known if I hadn't been doing this own personal little color palette challenge of mine. And I love that you guys are painting with me and kind of jumping in with me. I want to know what this color actually is. Let's see. What is this color? Oh, so it's darker. It's actually darker than I thought it would be. But you know, this one over here is brighter than you think it is. Look at this. It's much brighter. So if we're looking at our colors here, let me put this one down. With the three that we've got there, that pretty much is our three colors. We're a little tiny bit off in, not really though, we're a little tiny bit off in darkness. This is more red, this is a little more purple, but I don't even care. I'm loving it. I'm digging it. So it is, my goal is to get very close when I'm doing color palettes. I don't have to be exact. I'm not trying to be super strict with a fun project, what should be a fun project. Ooh, that just got way too much pigment, so you can't even see what color that is. But these are to be fun. I don't want you to get hung up on, I don't have a color, I can't match it exactly. You miss the point if you can't get past the color to even get paint on the paper. So my point in doing these is to work within a color palette, get very close, just see how close can you get, and did you like how the colors all work together, and the contrast, the lightness, the darkness, the opacities. I like some real thick, I like some real thin. We can go back and mark make and really add some more to the top of this, which I will definitely be doing. All right, so now I'm hoping that this brings in some brightness. I need some brightness. I think I got too much on my brush. Let's just, and if you'll start with one and work your way around. By the time you get to the last one, that last couple usually are better because it's like, oh, okay, I'm figuring this out. I see what I want. And so I like doing pairs because of that, because now I can be like, oh, okay, so that's going to be my least favorite, maybe the one I cut up. And by the time I make it around here, I've got like a little system figured out, and it's so much more fun. Whoa, look at that. Oh my goodness. Totally. Whoa. Now you can see that color. Oh, I'm kind of feeling it though. I am kind of feeling it. So let's just go with it. Be brave. Be brave. I know I tell y'all that every video, but I need y'all to hear me. When you're painting in your head and you're like, I'm scared, because I'm scared a lot too, I want you to say, be brave. Be brave. It's just paper. It's just paint. Let's just see what we can get if I do this. Kind of want to put some little dots in here. Let's maybe get some mark making in here as we're going. How about that? So don't be afraid to come back and add some little color on top of some of the other color after you get going. I like that. Maybe we can come back in here. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, I like that. Totally. That's what I wanted. Let's throw some color in here. I like the differences I've got in opacities in this last one. This one's way too heavy. Glad I started there, because then I could make my way around to the ones that I like. So you can see each one kind of got a little better, and then these three are like, oh yeah, okay, I'm there. That's why you do more than one, so that when you get down to these next three, you end up with something really good and you're excited about what you painted. All right, let's just be crazy up here. Rah, throw some of this in there. Yes. Okay, that's still too wet. All right, I'm kind of feeling like maybe we can let this dry, and I might do some stenciling on top of this. So let me let this dry and I'll be right back. All right, so this is dry. So now we could do whatever we want on top of this. We could get out some Neocolor 2 crayons. I could do some more mark making with my graphite stick. I could do stencils, just trying to throw some ideas out there for you. I'm almost tempted to grab all the pastels because I'm obsessed with the soft pastel texture and the vibrancy of the color compared to these pieces. It really excites me. Makes a mess, but then you spray it and you're all set going forward. So I'm kind of... I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, so half sticks that are Sennelier. I've got this sitting over here to the side, so it's not completely in the way. And you know, these pastels are kind of fun too, because they're water soluble too. I could have done these like the that stick there, that charcoal stick. I could have done that. And I'm just gonna start maybe making some patterns and designs and just kind of observing it and thinking, do I like that? Do I want to continue that? What marks do I want to make? I could put acrylic paint on top of this. So do we like the blue? It's time to kind of look at that and evaluate, did we like how that worked? I kind of liked it, so it's kind of fun to throw some out here. And, you know, I like the big loop-de-loops, so that's fun. I do like the loop-de-loops. That you've seen me do these before, but you know, every artist kind of gets on their little kick of what they like to do, and you're going to see them then do those marks. And you discover that, maybe some lines, you discover that by play and practice, because I've discovered some of these because we were playing in here and having some fun. Look at this color. Oh, so let's start out on the one that's your least favorite, and you know, when you're done it could be your favorite, but look at this color. Whoa! And it's still wet paint, so when that dries, it could dry the same color and it might not. Who knows what that's going to do when it actually dries. But you know, on one of those projects that we did, and I did a salmon-y color kind of like this with a big splosh of that color, I was like, oh my goodness, that's my favorite one out of all of these. And so now I'm just like, okay, let's just try it and see, do we get anything that we like? Be brave. And we can do it just to emphasize some color too. I kind of like that idea too. Ooh, look at that. Okay, I'm feeling that right there. That was good. Ooh, and so on this one, we could do those circles on this one. Let's just go ahead. Ooh, ooh, fun. And then I could come back in here, little color on this side. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, I'm liking it. And I could just do like some yummy mark making. Whoa. I know you guys think I'm goofy, but you know what? I'm an old lady. No shame here. Just be goofy. Okay, I'm liking that. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, that's a good one. Okay, I'm kind of feeling like, let's do some, yeah, I'm kind of feeling like maybe some splotches of color. Ooh, ooh, yeah, 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 see? Okay, haha, definitely liking that. Kind of wondering, and we might test this out, but I'm kind of wondering, look at this light blue. Kind of wondering if, ooh, see, look at that color. That's a fun color. I can come back in here on some of this. I'm kind of wondering if I coat this with the pastel spray, can we stencil on top of that? That would be interesting to find out. And it's in moments like this of discovery that we find these things out. So you know what? Why don't we try that? Let's just try. After I get this, we'll tap it off, spray a couple coats of spray on it, and then see if we can stencil on top of it. Because I got some of this bleed proof white by Dr. Phil Martins. Might be an interesting test on maybe that one. We'll start off with the least favorite. Might be an interesting test to see, can we stencil on top of these after we do this crazy mess on top? I know you want to know too. I said in one video, you know, as a drafter, when I came out of school, and I drafted on a drafting board, and I talked about working in CAD in 2020, and they thought I was talking about the year 2020, and that CAD had been around since the early 2000s, and I thought, oh my goodness, do you think I'm that young? Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, that would put me at like 25, and I would totally want you all to think I'm 25. But in reality, I'm almost, shh, don't tell anybody, but I'm about to turn 50. So I came out of school in the early 90s when the computers just started coming out. Okay, I'm kind of digging these. I'm feeling like maybe we should tap it off, and then we should test and see if we can stencil on top of this. I could spray a fixative spray on these. Those are fixatives, but I have like a regular fixative spray too. But let's try these. I'm going to tap this off, and then we're going to test this out. This is exactly when you want to make these discoveries, not when you're making a super important piece of art and then you ruined it. All right, let's just, okay, so don't do this at your table. Go outside for this, but for this I'm going to try to keep it on film. So this is the soft pastel fixative, and I'm about 12 or 15 inches away, and I lightly spray it, let that dry, lightly spray it, let that dry. You can do as many coats as you need. I tend to do 2 or 3 coats. This stuff does stink though. You need to take it outside if you're doing it at home. And so I'm not holding it right on any particular spot. It's just a thin layer. You're just trying to kind of put like a clear coat on top of that chalk, and it darkens the chalk sometimes. So if color change is a problem for you, you need to figure that out now on little sample pieces when you're testing colors and figuring out what you want to make bigger pieces out of. You need to know that now. And this does not reactivate stuff. You're not holding it down on any particular spot, so you're reactivating everything. You're going fairly fast when you're doing it, and I'm just trying to get it to dry even faster. But you can even see on this, it darkened it a tiny bit. Does it matter? Now I know. So you need to decide if that's important, if that's going to mess with your art. You don't have to put a finishing spray over pastel. You can frame it and leave a little bit of space between the matte and the picture itself, like a little gullet, and then that pastel can just shed down into that little gullet forever. Your framer could do that for you. So that did darken all that a little bit, just so we know. How do we do with our color palettes? I think we did pretty good with the color palette. We're nice and dark, muted tones. We look a little bit like that picture there. So I like that. We can say that this was inspired by the hydrangea petals. Now we're gonna try this. Let's try it up here on this one. So this is a Klimt stencil, Gustav Klimt, that I got from Joggles. So Gustav and Emily, 75012 from joggles.com, because somebody, a lovely YouTube comment, said, hey, did you know that they have Klimt stencils at this place? And I'm like, well, no, I did not. So let's try it. And I'm going to be using it with the Bleed Proof White, Dr. Phil Martin's white, because I tried it on something else and it stayed white. And because we're doing this on top of pastel, we're just gonna see what it does. And I might have to eventually scoop some out onto a piece of paper. But for this one, I'm just going to scoop it with my dry sponge. And we're just going to see what we get. Usually I smear this back and forth, like around. But because of the pastel, I'm kind of afraid if I smear it, you know, I told you it's not permanently affixed. That fixative just kind of attaches on the top. I'm kind of afraid if I smear it around, I'm smearing pastel. So I am going to tap it and just see if I can get it solid enough. So a little test here on what we're going to get. And I'm kind of wondering, do I want this other half of the stencil? I might. Let's see what we got right now. Look at that. Let's go ahead and get the other half here and try not to move that. I don't know that I love it enough because of the way that I've done this. I don't know that I love it enough to do the other pieces. So this is why I like having one that's maybe not the favorite, and it's the one that you're least afraid to experiment on. So the Bleed Proof White stays white, but I feel like I can't smear it around, so I'm not going to get as solid a layer of paint. It's going to be a sponged layer of paint. I'm sure you've got your secrets on how you stencil, so you may have a better little technique. All right, let's just see what we got. I don't like that it looks like it's sponged, but I do like the marks that it left us. That's super fun. I don't think I like it enough to do more on top with that white. Let me stick that in my water so it doesn't get stuck permanently. So now, okay, so we have choices. That was really thick, and I like thick stuff. But we could try, because it was kind of thick and very dry, which is exactly why I'm sure it's bleed proof. Kind of thinking, let me get my palette paper over here. What if, because we can try this on another one, we try the titanium white Liquitex heavy bodied, because it's a little wetter and we may get a different look. So I'm kind of feeling like maybe going back to some of my favorite stencils perhaps. We could try another one of these though. There's some fun stuff going on in here. Like I like these right here. Those are kind of fun. Ooh, and I like this kind of block pattern, but it's kind of halfway. That is very fun though. Okay, I feel like this block pattern. Okay, so this is the second least favorite. And we're just gonna try it. Dry sponge. Oh, see, I do get a lot more paint out of that, but we could have bleed through. And I'm gonna try to just stay within a certain part of this stencil here. like this little swirl. All right, let's see how that did. Do we like that better? Oh, see, now that's very interesting. I do think these stencils are very large. I wish they came smaller. So that was pretty cool. And let's go. This is all about experimenting. I might go to some of my favorites. I mean, they're my favorites for a reason. Like, I really like this Cubist. This is Crafter Workshop Cubist. Let's put some more white. I do like the white paint. I think the white paint did better for me today. This is the heavy-bodied professional line because I thought it was thicker and it says it's solid versus like a semi-transparent one. So I actually do think that did very, very well. I really like this one. So I'm thinking the squares. All right, so let's see. Where do we want the square? Ooh, let's do this right here. Ha ha ha. All right. I do like that it's thicker paint, so I don't want too much on the sponge, but I want it enough to do what I want it to do. And there was a set of these that we did with these Cubist ones. Oh, see? That's a good one. All right, so I love that one. That's the Cubist. Crafter's Workshop Cubist. That's a good choice. Okay. And it's smaller. You see why I want these a little smaller? Like when I'm doing stuff like this, I want bigger ones for big pieces, smaller ones for smaller pieces. Truly loving that one. What if we try this flower one? There's one with flowers. Where did I just put that? Oh, here we go. What if we try some flowers coming out of here? Let's do that. I like it when we experiment. Be brave. And I don't like putting the whole stencil, but oh, now that is super fun because you get the implication that there's flowers there, but you're like, wow, what is that doing under there? And we can see the blue kind of through there. I like that. Okay, so that was a good one. So this one is flowers. I think it might be, I'll have to link it below the video. I don't remember what that one's actually called. Okay, I also like this. Which is the Stencil Girl corrugated cardboard. And so I'm working my way to my favorite one here. We can see that I'm doing that. Let's do white paint. I'm feeling white, not gold. That's why I'm doing the white on these. And you can see I don't wash my stencils off. I just go with it. Kind of the paint helps it get a little stiffer, which I like because then it holds up better and better as you're going. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so I'm really liking corrugated cardboard. Okay, what do we want to do on my favorite one? I don't want to mess it up. What about, kind of feeling like, not the curtains. I know you thought I was going for the curtain. What about this one that gives us little marks back and forth? I like it a lot. I think this one's called Sketchline by the Crafter's Workshop, and it may be one that's not available really anymore, but I love it, so I'm going to use it. And if you find it, good job. But I think it's called Sketchline. I'll try to, if I can find it in stock, I'll link it. If I can't, you'll just have to pick another favorite of your own. All right, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, okay, good choice. I like that little bit of line. We could have done that with just the end of a credit card, probably dipped in white paint and then on paper. So that's another choice too, just the end of old card. You can get that look. Definitely loving that one. Okay, let's peel the tape and see what we got, and then I can cut these apart. And because I sprayed these with the spray, hopefully we won't have a lot of pastel getting into our white bits. There we go. Try not to spray pastel everywhere, but when I'm working on the filming, I'm kind of limited in where stuff can go. And this was just a piece of cold pressed watercolor paper. If I didn't mention that before. If you have trouble with the paper tearing when you peel tape off, then you can use your heat gun, heat that tape up a little bit, and then that will help that adhesive release. Look at these. What a fun color palette. Let me just get my paper cutter out. It's my Fiskars 12-inch paper cutter. Someone always asks, so I try to mention what these are as I'm pulling them out. Oh, I think my favorite is still my favorite. Alright, and that may not be perfect because I don't think I'd put that tape down perfect, but that is okay. These are samplers. And then if they're good enough, you can frame them, but it's really not my goal when I start pieces, so I don't worry about it. This paper's nice and thick. They really turn into amazing little pieces of art when you get them cut apart. Look at that. This one. This one, for some reason I just love, but you see that white paint? That's the Liquitex. We're getting some bleed through a little bit. You can see it turning a little tiny bit pink with that pastel underneath it. And this one too, oh, which I love the flowers. But you can see a little color coming through that white, which is why I was hoping that the bleed proof white would be the answer, but it is very thick, so I should have put that out on my palette. I could have then had slightly damp sponge. You know, some of these things are just about practice. Definitely a favorite. Now I want to trim down the sides because I want that one to look all even. Oh yeah, see, look at that. That I could do something with. I could frame it, I could give it away, I could make a card out of that. Look at that right there. That's my favorite right there. This one turned out fantastic, and we're having a little less of the bleed through of that white, so that's kind of interesting that we did that. I like experimenting with you guys. I want you to experiment. This is how you figure out what your favorite supplies are. Look at that one. That one, actually, I do like that one a lot, actually. It's like a sideways pyramid. And then corrugated cardboard one, that one ended up really good too, and I really like the dots that we got outside of that one. So, super fun paint day today. Look at these. I like these two the best, I think. Those are my favorite. I like the flowers, but those two right there. And then how do we do with our color palette? Experimenting with graphite with a little white on top. I think we did fantastic. Hope you enjoyed this color challenge. If you want to show me what you're working on, definitely tag me at Two Little Owls Art. You can come join the art Facebook group and show us what you're making if you paint along with me, and I'll link those below the video for you, and I'll see you next time.